For the first time I can remember, it seemed like DeMeco Ryans put a little bit of blame at C.J. Stroud's feet for last night's 20-19 loss to the Buccaneers to put the Texans at 0-2. I'm going to react to everything else that was said after Texans-Bucks, including a dynamic I don't think I'm going to enjoy if the season keeps going this way. Plus, in old school radio show fashion, a six-pack from the college football weekend and everything we didn't get to touch on sports and beyond over the weekend. I'm Paul Gallant, and this is the Gallant Says podcast. Let's go.
A radio show host in Seattle called Paul Gallant.
Paul Gallant's wondering the same things a lot of people are.
You are definitely living in the hindsight world today, Paul.
Do you feel there's been a consistent theme with the interceptions?
I think every interception really has a different story.
I was just kind of curious what Paul gets to say.
Are you kidding me? Paul Gallant, what the hell is wrong with you?
Hello and welcome aboard the Gallant Says podcast. It is Tuesday, September 16th at noon, live on YouTube at Paul Gallant. Like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. On Twitch at Gallant Says. On X and Twitter at Gallant Says. On Instagram at Sports Gallant. On Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports. You can join the show Monday through Friday live at noon Central Time and occasionally after major Houston sporting events or during major Houston sporting events. My God, I've spent so much time covering an 0-2 football team between the watch-along that we did last night, then a post-game show. Ugh. It's available after the facts, wherever you get your podcasts, on Apple, on Spotify, SoundCloud as well. If you're more of a podcast person, subscribe, rate, and review. If you want to cut me off mid-thought while watching the best way you possibly can, which is on the YouTube side of things, super chat me, baby, and I'll play this.
Paul, stop talking. Listen.
That's former Houston Texan Wade Smith telling me to shut up once in the midst of a show. I will eventually get to your comments. Leading off, Paulie G says, still the king, asks me, do I still think C.J. Stroud is better than Goff? I think he's got more talent. I do. However, last night, not looking so great. On the Twitch side of things, Mother effing Cornbread and Cougblaze say, go Cougs. Yeah, they're the best football team in town. Mother effing Cornbread and Cougblaze say, F you, bum-ass, filthy, dirty, mofo Texans. And don't forget to EAD, bum-ass mofo Texans. There you go. Cougblaze says that Jared Goff has more brains than C.J. Stroud. That seems coded. Meanwhile, Oak Tree says, God wills it. Well, he did not will Yordan Alvarez's injury, which we will also talk about on today's show. If you didn't watch my post-game stream last night, as I said last night, I am blaming the Texans' offense more than I'm blaming their defense. Wait a second. Did I just totally write that wrong? I did. I'm blaming the defense more than I'm blaming the offense. Paul, you can't read, you stupid fuck. Hey, I'm blaming the defense more than I'm blaming the offense, okay? I have such low expectations for the offense at this moment in time. New offensive coordinator. Paul, why did the Texans hire an offensive coordinator with no experience? A good question. The offensive line is what it is. Paul, why didn't the Texans put more investments into the offensive line this offseason? A great question. Lots of great questions. But, I mean, I just like that Mad TV skit, lowered expectations. I just don't expect a lot out of the offense right now, even with C.J. Stroud under center. No Joe Mixon, no Christian Kirk. A lot of moving parts on the offensive line. My hope is that this can be a top 10 offense by the end of the year. That seems far-fetched right now, given how difficult it's been for them to run the football. You know? So they lose last night's game, and the defense is missing tackle after tackle. They're allowing nearly 6 yards a carry from Buccaneers running backs. That's why I'm laying more blame on the defense than I am on the offense. I think that you put the defense up on a pedestal. You expect it to be at a high level this season, just given some of the talent that's on that side of things. And yet, I mean, look at the result. They made some nice they had some nice moments at the very least against the Rams, you know? Except for at the end of the first half and at the beginning of the second half. But last night's game against a Buccaneers offense missing their left tackle and very quickly into the game missing their right tackle, featuring a former Texans offensive lineman, Charlie Heck, playing. Yeah, you got some sacks of Baker Mayfield, but the Bucs ran up and down the field on you. That's inexcusable. So this time of year is very interesting if your local football team is 0-2 because people start to get testy. And I'm not just talking about fans who will throw out all sorts of interesting conspiracy theories. I've seen a lot of that for the Jaguars. What's going on between Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence? I'm imagining that's going on with the Bears right now. What's going on with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, Tua Tagovailoa, and Mike McDaniel, plus Tyreek Hill in the middle of all that? You start to wonder how long those quarterback-head coach relationships are going to last. I am not wondering about the future of C.J. Stroud and DeMeco Ryans just yet. I'm not. But I did find it noteworthy the way that DeMeco Ryans talked about C.J. Stroud after last night's game. For example, just for comparison's sake, I'm going to read what DeMeco had to say about C.J. Stroud after the Texans lost to the Rams over a week ago. Quote, C.J. played really nice. He made some nice plays for us. Really, at the end of the half, I thought it was impressive on a 2-minute drive to drive down and get us in field goal range. Him tucking the ball, running, and getting us in field goal range. Really heads-up play. Smart play by him. He really managed the offense well. Made some nice throws, and unfortunately, we came up short. He made some nice plays under pressure. They got us on a few as well, and that happens, but I'm really proud of the way CJ played. Then go to later in the week, CJ Stroud and that offense. DeMeco Ryans compliments them while asking some questions about his defense, which should have some questions certainly asked about it after last night. But here is what DeMeco Ryans said indirectly about CJ Stroud after last night's game at his post-game press conference. Do you hear what I hear?
I would have to look at the film to see actually what went wrong. And I saw the run that didn't work. We didn't have any space. We didn't move anybody off the line of scrimmage is what I saw. So I was getting hit in the backfield. And so went to try to throw the ball. Thought we had some matchups. I thought we had an opportunity to hit Nico in the corner there. The ball was out of bounds.
That was DeMeco Ryans talking about the Texans' goal line sequence where the Texans could have scored and they didn't. It seems like he's saying C.J. Stroud could have hit Nico Collins there without saying C.J. threw the ball out of bounds. Ball was thrown out of bounds. Doesn't mention him by name, but that is him questioning that moment by the quarterback. And that's new. It is new. Is it a sign of more things to come? We shall see. I thought that was a noteworthy moment in last night's press conference. And we have another moment from DeMeco Ryans that I also found interesting. Here is DeMeco talking about the Texans offense, their performance, and C.J. Stroud.
I have to look at the film, but obviously if we go out on offense, it's a collective effort. But if we go 2 for 9 on third down, right, what do we expect? If we can't get the ball in at the goal line, what do we expect is going to happen? Like our guys, everybody on offense, they got to make plays. Defense, we got to make a play there. We got multiple opportunities at the end of the game to close it out. We got to tackle better, and we got to make the plays. There's no magic secret or any secret sauce. Like we got to stand up and make the plays. If you want to be a big-time player in this league, you got to show up and make plays.
That last part. If you're going to be a big-time player in this league, you got to step up and make plays. And look, Stroud had a great throw in the first half to Nico Collins for a touchdown. And Stroud had some moments in this game where you're like, holy shit. His ability to spin out of pressure against his blind side is actually remarkable. However, where were the plays that they needed from him, specifically in the second half? Yes, the offense was not able to run the football. And yes, Stroud wasn't the only one making mistakes out there. But he did make mistakes. And this is the first time that I feel like DeMeco Ryans very politely and very delicately has said CJ Stroud needs to play better. By the way, that is not a problem. Far too often this weekend, I saw people focusing on exchanges between quarterbacks and head coaches and acting like a divorce is imminent. There was a moment between Sean Payton and Bo Nix. I think the caption on that post was, "Today's generation is a bunch of pussies." Something along those lines. They can't handle coaching. It's one moment. There was another moment in Jaguars Bengals where people focused on Liam Cohen yelling from the sideline at Trevor Lawrence and Lawrence waving him off. Not the end of the world either. Second game for those two guys together. Quarterbacks and coaches should be able to have the kind of relationship where they can call each other out, preferably privately, but with all these cameras on an NFL field these days, it's going to happen from time to time. You're going to see Tom Brady and Bill O'Brien shouting at each other on the sideline. It's something that goes down a lot. And I would like for there to be more of a relationship like that between CJ Stroud and DeMeco Ryans. And by the way, not to say there isn't. I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. But I've always felt like DeMeco Ryans looks at the offense like they're his youngest kid and looks at the defense and he treats them like they're the oldest. And he holds them to a higher standard. He should, but sometimes with the offense, it gets a little frustrating where he's talking about all the good that's happening. I mean, last week he said, I like what I saw from CJ Stroud. They scored three fucking field goals, 9 points, no touchdowns, you know? So I'd like to see a little bit more confrontation between the two because I think confrontation, assuming it can be had in a respectful manner, can be good, can help both of them out. So those are the two clips where I feel like DeMeco Ryans called out CJ Stroud. How do you feel about that? Are you concerned? Are you freaking out? Let's get to some of your comments here. Juicy Messiah on YouTube says, Stroud stinks. Philip on Instagram says, CJ is a bust. I don't see anything special in him. Oh my God, come on. A bust is Johnny Manziel. A bust is Jamarcus Russell. Bust is an extreme word to throw around for a quarterback. You need someone who just doesn't give a shit. Anthony Richardson trending towards being a bust at this moment in time. A bust washes out of the league before his rookie contract is done because of his own lack of effort and lack of care. I think we should be a little careful when we throw that word around. I get everyone's pissed after what happened last night, but tone down that rhetoric. What other comments do we have? Luda says, the defense let me down. Yeah, I think the defense is the reason the Texans lost last night. I know that the offense didn't get points when they needed to. I understand why DeMeco Ryans went for a touchdown on the 1 yard line. 3 plays in a row. They can't run the ball. Makes you wonder if the Bucs let Nick Chubb run into the end zone on that 1 touchdown. I think you could perhaps second guess that. Should DeMeco Ryans, given that the score was a 1-point game, have said, hey, just slides and let's run off as much clock so we can get a game-winning field goal? Maybe. But going for it at the 1 yard line, trying to get a touchdown, I don't blame him for trying to do it. I don't know that I like the play calls, especially rolling to Stroud's left. Some people were asking questions about that. Stroud, do you like rolling to your left or something? What's going on there? But I think you should have gone for it. Stroud's got to make a play there. Texans receivers got to make a play there. None of those things happened. Other comments. What do we have? Still the King says, top 5 quarterback, my dirty ass. Well, he did say that about himself, I believe, on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast, and that for sure is not true. I do think he has the traits to potentially be there someday, maybe temporarily. Russell Wilson was a top 5 quarterback for a moment in time, but that's a constantly changing power rankings. Luda says, I hate that the offense gets out of the huddle so late. Not enough time to read the coverage and no adjustments, no hard counts. Damn it, boys. I'm going to have to look back to double check on when they were getting out of the huddle, if it was as bad as it was the week before. But this is a problem that's going all the way back to last year, which is one of the reasons you can definitely start pointing the finger at DeMeco Ryans. Still, the King says Ohio State quarterbacks are soft. I don't know about Kyle McCord, former Ohio State quarterback, went to Syracuse, 10-win season. Great program, Syracuse football. Ian Lindblom says, good play calling is what makes offensive lines look good most of the time. Fair. But an offensive line also can look good by being good, specifically. Philip PR 1968 says, Bus may be extreme, but I'm getting David Carr vibes. Come on. He's better than David Carr. Carr also is someone that didn't really put the work in. Ian says, CJ has nothing to do with Chubb not being able to run 1 yard. GT Parker says we should definitely be concerned. Piss poor play calling, a porous offensive line. Yep. Ken Silas, shout out for joining my channel for the first time. Very much appreciate it. DeMeco definitely seemed to call out C.J. Stroud there. What did C.J. Stroud have to say after his the performance last night where the Texans lost? Man, he's not sounding so great. This is a compilation that I made of C.J. Stroud's shortest answers with the liberal media. Here is the quarterback of your Houston Texans.
Do you prefer to roll out left versus right? Does that matter to you at all?
No, it does not.
When y'all had the ball at the 1 yard line, what went wrong in your opinion there?
Just didn't get the ball in the end zone. It was kind of plain, kind of simple. I don't know. We just didn't get the ball in the end zone. That's all I can really think of.
Is it disappointing that y'all had so many opportunities to win this game, put this game away, and you weren't able to capitalize on the opportunities tonight?
Yeah, it is.
You ever see those Sarah McLachlan ads on TV? They show the poor pets. It really, those commercials make me sad every single time still. And I don't even want to know about how little of the money they take from people those foundations put into them. But I do remember the song, and I'm going to sing, okay? Because it's not my fault. I have to sing. I'd get a copyright strike if I don't sing. You spend all your life waiting for an offensive line and an offensive coordinator too, and then all your receivers keep on getting hurt with a hamstring, broken legs, and shot too. And you're just sitting there wondering what the fuck. When is it gonna get good? Can I get a coordinator who's not 5 years old? Or some Patriots Rams guy who's there for a cup of coffee? You're not playing well at quarterback. It's not good for you. Everything is fucking bad. And DeMeco basically called you a boop. We had to sing it because we're not allowed to actually do that on, I can't play Sarah McLachlan on my YouTube channel. I don't have the rights. More from CJ Stroud after yesterday's game. Here is your Texans quarterback talking about moving forward.
Stay together, stay committed to one another, trust in one another. The sun will rise in the morning. It's not the end of the world, but at the same time, we all get paid a service, to do a job, and we got to get those jobs done at a faster rate. I think as a team we got to just stay together. Everybody's gonna talk crazy, and we suck, we this, we that, and at the end of the day, we got to stay together and just mesh well, and be honest, have hard conversations. But I think right now we need more confidence as an offense, at least, just confidently playing better together. I think that's a big thing. We haven't played together, a lot of us, so the more confidence that we build, I think the better that we'll be off.
Thank you.
That was it. So he's acting like it ain't over. You've also got this from DeMeco Ryans, Texans head coach. He does not think that 0-2 is a hole for his Texans.
Yeah, it's no hole. It's we lost the game, right? We lost 2 games we should have won, but to win games, you got to play better. You got to coach better. So it starts with me. I got to coach better. We got to play better. We got to execute better. You got to go win games. You're not just going to be giving games, right? So we got to find a way to make those plays.
Talked about being down in the hole. Again, we can't play music on this YouTube channel because we'll get copyright strike. We also have it happen on Twitch. But to quote some wise philosophers, a group. Down in a hole and we don't know how to tackle. Bucky Irving and Rashad White just ran the ball up our dicks. Catheters don't feel really good when they're there. Look at us now. The Buccaneers are pulling us by our hair. We sucked last night. The offense already sucked too. Some comments here. Luda, shout out to you for the super chat.
Paul, stop talking. Listen.
Paul, you were definitely a drama kid in school. Captain Photon says, I'll give you $1.99 to not sing. What if we turned this into, what are those piano bars? I think there's like Pete's Dueling Pianos. There's Howl at the Moon. That would be pretty funny if we have people pay me to sing and people pay me to not sing. That'd be a nice back and forth. Listen, I need money. I need money. I was not a drama kid in high school. I almost was in middle school. So summer between 7th and 8th grade, my mom put me in a drama camp. And that's where I think fell in love for the first time with this girl named Amanda. First crush I ever had. She had a boyfriend. I think she looked at me as my cute little platonic friend. But that's why I kept doing it. So I was doing improv on the weekends. And I wasn't a play. I was in The Odd Couple. I played Roy, who's the guy with glasses. And this is something I vividly remember. Maybe I shouldn't. But I had a very thespiatic... Does that make any sense? A very dramatic English teacher in middle school. I liked him. I remember he actually came to one of my performances, and looking back, I'm pretty convinced that he was trying to bang my mom. I'm pretty convinced by that. I'm like 80% certain. My mom and my dad had split up. I know that when I went to France as part of a middle school trip with my mom and my sister, back the year before that Mr. Shea was on that trip, And I don't know. This just thinking back. Single people, I think. I don't know. Maybe he wasn't. But all I know is that I was pretty convinced of that. A shout out to him wherever he is, and shout out to my mom who's happily married to her high school boyfriend. But that's one of the random things that I remember from almost being a theater kid. I wish I had done it a little bit more. I'm not a very good singer. I like doing karaoke, but definitely have a little dramatic flair, that's for sure. Anyway. Luda, you did unlock some core memories. Listen, you give me a super chat, I'll give you the world. But I will not have sex with you or give you a blowjob or a hand job. I will not do that. We're not that down bad yet. Okay? Anyway. Texans lost. CJ and DeMeco, perhaps a disconnect for the first time. And 0-2. Hey, at least you got the Jaguars next, but it's in Jacksonville. Very one-sided series, Texans-Jaguars over history. Is it going to stay that way? Titans after that, Cam Ward's frisky, then the Ravens before the bye week. Best case scenario, I think realistically, you're hoping for 2-3 going into the bye. Hoping for it. Had to win last night's game, and I know there's a lot of second guessing going on. And if you've had any questions about the game, please get to them. Hang on a second. Keep on having to huck loogies in the middle of these shows. I don't know what that says about what's going on in my sinuses. But anyway, hey, what else was said after last night's Texans loss? Somebody else spoke, and I enjoy this person because of his personality. However, I don't know how much I will enjoy the CJ Gardner Johnson experience if CJ Gardner Johnson is going to be talking after losses like this. Here he is, this video courtesy of Aaron Wilson talking after the Texans loss yesterday. We're going to stop and go along the way.
Tough loss. You guys played well.
Say it one time.
A tough loss. You guys played well. It was a close game. What do you feel like you guys needed to do to be able to close these guys out?
Pause for a second. They played well. They gave up nearly 6 yards a carry and nearly 170 yards on the ground. I don't think you could say the defense played well last night. I think the defense is the reason they lost the game. I hope DeMeco Ryans reinforces that to them.
We'll get back to the drawing board. I'll get back to the drawing board. Not what I'm used to, but close game, good team. You gotta just focus in. You know, these type of games you gotta pull off at home. And we beat ourselves. A couple little plays here and now that it probably. Not saying other than the M's probably said as players, we probably got locked in a little bit more. Coach put us in position. We got to go out there and finish those games.
Did you guys?
Not what I'm used to from CJ Gardner Johnson. Anyone else remember another veteran safety that the Texans brought in after winning a Super Bowl? Ed Reed, who was not the Ed Reed that he had been the season before. But Ed Reed had some questions about the Texans coaching staff after coming into Gary Kubiak and Wade Phillips in a season where the Texans lost all those games in a row after a 2-0 start. And eventually it got to the point where after a game he called out the coaches and he got cut. Felt like Reed struggled. But people were mad at Reed, and I was like, well, he made some interesting points about the defense, about the team. And this is just something to monitor with CJ Gardner Johnson, who was on the last year of a contract that I believe he signed with the Philadelphia Eagles. Anyway, more from C.J. Gardner Johnson after last night's Texans loss. Safety for your Houston Texans.
It's feel fresh at the end. The time of possession was about 2-1.
We was good. We was rolling. It's just, like I said, these are games as young guys. Fighting adversity, understanding that we got to tune out the crowd. Not saying we were tuned in, you got to go out there and finish. It's one of those games that doesn't make or break you as a team, but it defines you later on down the road. So.
Pause for a moment. You know, watching last night's game with all the little knife cuts that the Buccaneers offense was giving the Texans defense, like, how did you feel? Realistically, how confident could you feel in that defense? Because it always felt like they were getting 4 or 5 yards of play. And guess what? You get 3.34 yards of play, 3 downs in a row, you're going to get a first down. So there weren't a lot of explosives by the Bucs, but they were certainly moving it pretty easily. 6 for 14 on third down. That's pretty solid. This is supposed to be one of the top defenses in the NFL. They couldn't get off the field. So it's kind of interesting hearing C.J. Gardner Johnson talk about the defense after the game, and I don't know, doesn't exactly seem like he believes they played that poorly. I think when you're giving up that many rushing yards, you got to feel embarrassed, even if you're playing safety and it's not necessarily all your fault. More from C.J. Gardner Johnson.
Just got to get better.
0-2, where does this team go from here as you guys trying to turn the page?
15 weeks left, right? We got to keep playing. Season ain't over. I remember being with a team, we started off 2-2, and everybody thought the season was falling through. So just continue to play ball, trust the coaches like we've been doing, trust the scheme, and understand that they're here for us. And we don't nobody get discouraged out. We don't, in this room, nobody get discouraged. Like this locker room, we trust each other. We understand that it's a tough fall game. We just got to finish.
2-2 is different than 0-2. It is. Sorry, CJ, but come on. You got to get those first 2 wins. Are they going to get them? I don't know. Jaguars are not a lock. Titans, Cam Ward is frisky. I mean, I like the film, specifically the highlights I've seen of Cam Ward. Obviously, the Titans offense isn't scoring that many points. More from C.J. Gardner Johnson.
Allowed them to have some success on the ground running the ball tonight.
You watch the same game I watched? I don't remember nobody breaking, but if they had a good time on the ground, I mean, shit, kudos to them. Next question.
What? That was a question asked by Will Kunkel. We're gonna play this one more time. This is banana land. This is insane by C.J. Gardner Johnson. And this is why, while I enjoy him, I enjoy the personality. If you're gonna be giving answers like this after a game, like I don't know if I'm gonna be able to handle it for a full season. One more time, C.J. Gardner Johnson being asked by Will Kunkel about the Texans' run defense.
What allowed them to have some success on the ground running the ball tonight?
You watch the same game I watched? I don't remember nobody breaking, but if they had a good time on the ground, I mean, shit, kudos to them. Next question.
If they had a good game on the ground, shit, kudos to them. Come on, man. Like, yeah, they did. They did. You watch the same game I did? Like, it's a weird answer, and I don't know how you can spin it to say, like, yeah, he knew what happened out there. That's a very weird answer to give. No, you're getting gashed. Rashad White did whatever he wanted. Bucky Irving had a pretty good game himself. More from C.J. Gardner Johnson.
Mentality on that last drive. What were you guys trying to do to close this thing out?
Win the game. Coach put us in position. We got to win the game for the coaches and the fans. And there's nothing really more to, horn on. Get to the film tomorrow, dissect it, or get back on Wednesday and get ready to hit the road to Jacksonville, right? So good luck.
That is all you can do. On to the next game. We're on to Jacksonville. But weird answer about the run defense. Very weird answer. I enjoy C.J. Gardner Johnson. I find him to be amusing, but when the team is losing, do you want to have a lot of this going on? Because he also had a moment in last night's game where I believe after Baker Mayfield got a first down, where he got up in Mayfield's face, because Mayfield was limping a little bit after scrambling for a first down, and started talking shit. These two have beef going back quite a way from when C.J. Gardner Johnson I guess maybe on his podcast, said at some point in January of 2024, this is probably leading up to a Bucs-Eagles playoff game, that the Bucs could be a great group if they had a quarterback. Here is Baker Mayfield back in January of 2024.
I don't think he's really watched film because he mentioned Russell Gage. You know, we love Russell, but Russell hasn't played a snap all year for us. He must be going off the preseason stuff that the media was talking about, but he didn't play our first game, so I'm excited to see him. I think he's a really good player. He has been for a while. He's been an impactful guy on every team he's been on, so he's a good player, but yeah, he's got to do a little bit more film study.
So, you know, Baker's snarky. CJ Gardner Johnson had mentioned Russell Gage was on the team. He wasn't on the team anymore, so Baker Mayfield gets a little snarky and says, oh, he must not be watching the film. Then he doubled down on that at the very end of the comment, which led to CJ Gardner Johnson responding, I believe, on Instagram Live. Here he is taking a shot.
My shit. That boy said, boy, you don't watch film. Why call a play within 2 minutes of the game? Watch film on it and send it to me. And I tossed that bitch back at you, too. I hope you got it, too. Make sure you send that one with the jersey, too.
I think this is after the Eagles had beaten the Buccaneers in the playoffs. So they have a history. Gardner Johnson was asked after last night's game about the back and forth that he had with Baker Mayfield. Here he is, courtesy of Landry Locker.
What went on with you and Baker during the game?
He got the dub. He was that great player, great competitor. He won the game for his team. Congrats to him, and on to the next.
Actually, a pretty classy answer by CJ Gardner Johnson there. You know, he won the game. Winners get to win. Winners get to be cocky. More from Baker Mayfield about this exchange between Baker and CJ Gardner Johnson. Here is the winning quarterback in Monday Night Football last night for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, me and my buddy Chauncey in the open field. Yeah, just obviously they did a good job adding on the press. It wasn't like a all-out zero blitz, but when the back blocks, the backer and man coverage adds on. So fortunately, was able to get out of that one and get through. And then, yeah, just seeing green grass and fourth down, 2-minute drive, trying to do anything it takes to get a chance to win.
It's funny, he calls him by his government name. Not CJ, Chauncey. Chauncey is an interesting name. Couple more comments after the game from the Texans. You know, just to go back to what you had heard a moment ago from CJ Gardner Johnson about specifically the Texans' run defense. Like, DeMeco clearly thought it was awful. He also thought the Texans' running game was awful. Here he is after the game.
The run game is definitely not good enough. It starts up front with our tackles. It wasn't good enough. We didn't play our technique the proper way. We didn't tackle well today, and multiple times. Their backs did a really nice job running the football, bouncing off of guys. We didn't wrap well. We didn't, finish. So a lot of times we were there, but initial contact, they continued to press forward and make plays, right, to get positive yards in the run game, and we did not tackle well. We did not play technique well up front. When you run the ball for over 150 yards, it's going to come down to tackling and execution. Right, and then on the flip side for us offensively, we did not run the ball well. Right, Chubb had one, nice run there to get in the end zone, but overall, it's just not good enough in the run game. Right, we're getting knocked back at the line of scrimmage. We can't get the play started. So we got to look at it all and see how we can get it fixed.
Yep, he's right. Both sides got to be better. I was hoping that the Texans' offensive line would be able to build confidence by running the football. Obviously, the Buccaneers' defense is pretty good, but I really don't know what to make of the Texans' run defense. I believe that, all in all, the Texans missed 19 tackles per one of the advanced statistic websites, and while some guys had a lot of total tackles, Henry To'oTo'o, I think, led the team in tackles. They, on that website, gave him 4 missed tackles. Got to make tackles. This is a simple thing. If DeMeco Ryans is going to talk about the swarm mentality, special work ethic and relentless mindset, I mean, you got to wrap up. You got to bring the guy down. This is basic shit. Really is. So I don't know. They're gonna have a full padded practice, go college mode in the middle of the season. Probably not, but Jaguars have been running the football a lot better this season than they did in years past. Travis Etienne's actually had some pretty good numbers to open up the season. Really, the Jaguars' struggles offensively seem to be more from Trevor Lawrence's inaccuracy and Brian Thomas maybe not being as physical as he needs to be, being a little bit afraid of traffic, you know? So there you go. DeMeco also talked about some of the penalties the Texans have had the first couple of weeks. This is from Chancellor Johnson. Here is DeMeco Ryans. There were 6 penalties last night, definitely better than 11 for 80 like in week 1.
It was very costly penalties because these penalties gave them first downs. We had a sack. We got them backed up, stopped, and it's just senseless. Like some of the mistakes they were making, hands too high. Again, it goes back to technique, right? We got to make sure we're doing that the right way. And every guy has to be accountable, right, for how you're showing up and how you're playing the game. We got to play clean football, and we can't hurt the team. But right now, those plays and penalties that we had definitely hurt us.
He says right now. He says right now. It's not right now. It's just been the entire time that they've been running the show. In the first year, hey, they're young. Last year, hey, still young. Now they've gotten to the point where they're the shitty dog your friend owns. Oh, he never does that. And look, the shitty dog your friend owns is generally a reflection of your friend's shitty dog parenting, right? We all have a friend who has a dog that's constantly humping everything and, rubbing his ass all over your carpet. And I love dogs. But at a certain point, when you look at a dog doing the same thing over and over again, don't you look at the owner? So, hey, DeMeco's aware of the penalties. He's aware of the mistakes. But the changes still are not coming. And I wonder when they will come. They're 0-2 now, so has to come now. Will it? I don't know. One more comment from CJ Stroud that I wanted to touch on. Stroud has been really interesting over the last season plus, talking about like things that the Texans need to have for everything to get going. Hey, we got to have fun. We got to get our confidence back. But it's tough to get that confidence going when, your offense is what it is, and you can't score with 3 plays from the 1-yard line. Here is Stroud talking about getting that confidence.
Yeah, just stay together. Stay committed to one another, trust in one another. The sun will rise in the morning. It's not the end of the world, but at the same time, we all get paid a service, to do a job, and we got to get those jobs done at a faster rate. Yeah, I think, as a team, we got to just stay together. Everybody's going to talk crazy, and we suck, we this, we that. And at the end of the day, we got to stay together and just mesh well and, be honest, have hard conversations. But, I think right now we need more confidence as an offense at least, just confidently playing better together. I think that's a big thing. We haven't played together, a lot of us. So the more confidence that we build, I think the better that we'll be off.
That's how he wrapped up the press conference. He talks about having confidence. Hard to have confidence when you're missing Christian Kirk. Hard to have confidence when your offensive line is once again shuffling and you got Jarrett Patterson in for Jake Andrews. And this is the first time this offensive line, left to right, worked together with Ariante Ursary at left tackle, with Laken Tomlinson at left guard, with Patterson at center, with right guard and Ingram, and at right tackle, Titus Howard back in his normal position. So it takes time to build confidence. There are ways to look at this loss and do the glass half empty thing. Hey, 2 playoff losses, playoff team losses, all that shit. But I have low expectations for the offense. The stats show that you should have low expectations for the offense. The defense really frustrates me about how they played last night. I guess I'm going to torture myself and watch some fucking film later of what went down. Got nothing better to do. And great, man. It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait for that. What else is going on? Here's what I want from you. You can join in on YouTube at Paul Gallant, on Twitch at Gallant Says, Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports, on X at Gallant Says, also on Instagram at Sports Gallant. I don't even know if I said that already. Whatever. I need a take. Give me your takes, because I'm seeing all sorts of them out there right now. Nick Caserio, he's a fucking stupid idiot. What the fuck is he doing? Why did the Texans hire a first-time offensive coordinator? Again. This one has facial hair. Does have facial hair. It looks a little more seasoned. Bobby Slowick looked like an older version of that poor kicker for Tennessee, to a degree. Game management. Does DeMeco know how to manage a game? Bleh. Why don't you kick a field goal when you're on the 1 yard line and you can't run the ball? It is a fair second guess. You know, DeMeco was laying it at the feet of C.J. Stroud there. Hey, you got to hit your guy. Sure. But, I mean, you can't run the ball from the 1. Maybe you do have to take the points. He also was second guessed when it comes to Nick Chubb running it in from 25 yards. A lot of people believe that the Bucs let Nick Chubb run those 25 yards. Honestly, I do too. It was smart. It was a smart play. It's tough to be heads up in a moment like that. If you're Nick Chubb, you're, as brought up by, I think I saw Cody Stutes on the Instagram side of things. It's brought up by Cody Stutes and Landry Locker on SNL. They would laugh at how Nick Chubb would run through contact at training camp practices and just keep on going and going. Maybe he has no quit in him. Like the epitome of manly running back. He sees an open field right there. Yeah, I got to run for the touchdown. But man, you think about it. Had he stopped, run down some clock, give Baker Mayfield less time. Chase McLaughlin, their kicker, fucking sucks, right? He sucks. He's terrible. Like, take your chances with him. He had that doink earlier in the game, you know? So there's definitely some second guessing going on. Let's read some of your comments here. You can join on all of these different platforms. Let's go to Godson. Offense gave us the lead, no matter how sluggish they looked. We have offensive pieces that are out as well. Defense, on the other hand, is stacked. They only needed to get the Bucs off the field. That's why I'm laying more blame on the defense than I am on the offense. I know not everyone's feeling that way, and there's certainly reasons to be frustrated with the offense. I'm not making excuses for the offense. I just have very low expectations for them at this moment in time. Christian Velez says, I'm going to overreact here. Caserio drafted Stroud for a certain system with a certain scheme in mind. Now that the scheme is gone, has this rebuild failed Stroud's potential? I don't agree with that. Like, I actually wonder about that draft if there was a directive from ownership, just given how checked out people were. This is a tinfoil hat Tuesday take, so let me put on this tinfoil hat for a moment. Is it going to stay on? All right, I got to hold it on. Yeah, this is not going to stay, but I'm holding it. Okay, I have a tinfoil hat on. There is a part of me that wonders if Cal McNair and Hannah McNair talked to Caserio and DeMeco Ryans, who everyone seemed to think were obsessed with Will Anderson leading up to the draft. I do wonder if there was a directive from the Texans with the second overall pick to make sure that they get a quarterback. And the Texans still wanted to get Will Anderson. So instead of taking Will Anderson second overall, they traded up to the third pick. They drafted a quarterback with that second pick. And then they drafted Will Anderson third. That is something I will wonder about forever. No way to prove it. Because it seemed like everyone liked Bryce Young going into last year, going into that draft. But they get C.J. Stroud, and Stroud's look better for what it's worth. I don't think you draft the quarterback for a specific system. I don't think anyone does that. You draft the quarterback because you like him. You think he's good. You know, whether you're the Vikings with J.J. McCarthy or the Cardinals with Kyler Murray, like, you draft the quarterback because you look at the guy's talent and you're willing to roll the dice on him. The Broncos with Bo Nix, Sean Payton's been rizzing him up. I mean, that's how it goes. What other comments do we have here? We're going to read a couple of interesting takes. Still, the King says the Bucs had just as many players out. Yeah, their left tackle and right tackle were out by the end of the game. Ian Lindblom says, imagine if you still had John Mechie. I don't think John Mechie's good. I don't. Ian Lindblom says more screens. Yes, more throwing to the running backs. More Woody Marks. The screen game was actually good for the Texans last night. When was the last time you could say that? It's been a while. Magnum5317 asks, would Joe Mixon and Kirk really fix this offense? He asks that on X at Gallant says, I think Mixon would definitely help the running game. And yeah, I think Kirk would help the passing game. Common Sense 200 says if we didn't get Stroud, the Colts would get Stroud. That's true as well. And I think they would definitely prefer to have Stroud than to end up with Anthony Richardson. All right, guys. I'm going to give you a couple of interesting takes that I saw about the Texans in the last 24 hours. These are not my takes, but I'm curious as to how you feel about them. This is from my guy, DJ Bien-Aimé, Houston Texans ESPN beat writer. He wrote this tweet. DJ posted, per Next Gen Stats, CJ Stroud has been pressured on 42% of his dropbacks and sacked 3 times. 6 sacks, 2 games, 7th most sacks in the league, 4 minutes and a quarter left to go. Nick Schwager, a Texans aggregator, reposted this saying, malpractice by that front office letting this happen. DJ Bien-Aimé reposted this saying, people celebrated that one trade because of how he dressed, talking about Laramie Tunsil. And it is a funny joke. However, at the same time, wasn't the trade about more than just that? Wasn't the trade about the lack of accountability and how he hid from the media after bad performance and about his nonchalance, about false starts and illegal formations and not showing up for the entire offseason program and not exactly helping install a culture? I agree that it would help to have Laramie Tunsil compared to the offensive line you currently have. You have a rookie guy at left tackle that was a second-round pick. He might be good someday. Left guard, right guard, you got some retreads. Your center is not your ideal starting center. Like, you've had some bad luck, no doubt about it, with the offensive line you have. But even with all of the reasons to be frustrated with Laramie Tunsil, who has not been doing himself the most favors with the Washington Commanders, there were reasons to move on from him. There were. You know? So this is one of those things where I saw this, and I think some of the people in the Texans beat got friendly with Laramie Tunsil, and I think it led to him being covered in a rather protective way last season. And you know what? Access is access. I get that not everyone can be me. Beat writer has to consistently think of relationships, sources, all that shit. But I'm looking at that, and I think that's a little bit of Captain Hindsight. Laramie Tunsil being here would be helpful, but I don't know if they would be making the offensive line significantly better. They sucked last year with Tunsil, you know? Some more comments. Mustang Boy says, someone would have traded up for Stroud at 3 if the Texans took Will Anderson. I agree with that. Tay says, the interior is a joke. This offense is picking up exactly where they left off last year. Yeah, the interior, not so good. I don't think it was the tackles last night. Christian Velez says, trade was about accountability. Seems the office may have been wrong. There's another issue. The head coach lets the offense be run by amateur offensive coordinators. There's zero accountability culture. Kind of ironic if you think about it. It's going to take time for this offensive line to get up to speed. Best case scenario, you're hoping that Nick Caley learns on the job. And yeah, there's certainly some reasons to second guess it. Nothing really jazzy last night, and it felt like the Texans went away from doing things that were actually working for them in this game. I want to go to another take that I had. Sometimes things age well. For the most part, everything ages poorly. But I'm just going to show you a take by someone that popped up in the last 24 hours with so many people questioning, DeMeco Ryans and CJ Stroud. Just a take, okay? Just a take that may have happened last year by a very handsome man when you look at him. Looks a little different than he looks now, but a handsome man nonetheless. With a really interesting question that he asked last year on November 13th, 2024. Between the players-only meetings, the repetitive nature of his team's mistakes, the gaslighting, hopefully to just us and not his players, at press conferences, is anyone else wondering about DeMeco Ryans' ceiling as an NFL head coach? That's a very thought-provoking take. I wonder who had it. Let's take a look. On YouTube at Paul Gallant, on Twitch at Gallant Says, Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports, on X at Gallant Says, on Instagram at Sports Gallant. Hang on, I gotta unmute it. Just spoiled it, damn it. Damn it, it was gonna be such a dramatic reveal.
I don't think any of us thought that 10 games into this year, with the Texans having the exact same record as they did last year, that we would already be starting to wonder about the ceiling of DeMeco Ryans as a head coach. But how can you not? You have to a little bit. It's not to say that you think he sucks right now or anything like that. It's more to say, how good will he be as a head coach? Are we going to look at DeMeco Ryans and ever put him in the same conversation as Sean McVay or different style Dan Campbell, which we're all doing all of a sudden, Jim Harbaugh, John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin? Because that's what you want. Having a coach like that, plus a quarterback like that, means you should get a chance at multiple Super Bowls. Andy Reid, can't believe I didn't say his name off the top of my head. There's a lot of coaches that we hope he will be in the same category as someday. And the gaslighty stuff does make you wonder, because if the same things are happening every single week, it makes you wonder about his approach behind the scenes. I don't think any...
Man, that's a really interesting take by that mustachioed fellow, whoever he might be. Let's read some of the replies to that, because it seems that people did not appreciate that question being asked last year, even though those questions are now being asked by a lot of people. Barely 20 games in, and Houston has turned or is turning on DeMeco already. Paul, you have a very punchable face. Shut up, dumbass. He's a second-year head coach. He's learning as well. If you have already written him off, you don't deserve his success. No, Paul, we're not out. You cats in the media are a joke. Never said I was out on him. DeMeco decided not to out his players on some foolishness, and now we're wondering what his ceiling is. Please stop. Come on, Paul. I know you need talking points and ideas to speculate on, but this is kind of wild. We're playing a first-place schedule. We're 6-4, a lot to be upset about. Equally have confidence about as well. Yes, Gallant, this was a far-reaching take. I know you can do better than this one. We are rooting for you. Y'all overreacting. Keep my coach's name out of your mouth. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Shut up, man. Etc., etc. You people are crazy. You don't remember all Dan Campbell doubters, him crying under the stress. The entitlement of Texans fans is off the charts, given they only rose from the dead last year. I mean, all of those are, for the most part, decent points, except for the ones that are a little bit personal. Let's see what the quote tweets looked like, because I believe it was implied that I was something else. Brandon, I keep it 100, says, I think it's way too early to have this conversation. Dr. Barrett says, DeMeco has flaws, but this is foolishness. Hollywood Coast says, dog, this never fails. Houston is the home of terrible, lazy takes. I can't and wouldn't listen to any one of these guys. Just saying anything for some clicks. All right. ... This is DeMeco's second year as a head coach. Blah, 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 blah. Any question about his coaching ability is unserious. Stupid takes like this is why I hate a lot of our media. The dumbest N-words you know, talking into a mic. Keep your lines in the water, Mr. Engagement Farmer. Well, thanks, Josh Ennis, for calling out my mustache. Nobody who watches our team has questions about DeMeco's skills as a head coach. They got to stop letting idiots get mics. The plight of the black man. In my opinion, it's too early to even think about what a coach who took over a well-known dysfunctional organization in year 2 ceiling is. No, it's not. We're in the world of take. We're in the world of takes. At least Landry reposted and said something nice. Shout out to Landry. Shout out to the locker room. Shout out to Houston football. Shout out to SNL, which I believe is going to be on at 4 or so. I think these are all fair questions to ask about him now, and I thought they were fair to ask then. And you know what? It's never too early to ask a question in the takeosphere. This is something I had on December 14th of 2018. Paul, wow, you're really giving yourself a Hummer today. Fine, whatever. I asked this question, December 14th, 2018. Is Houston scared to admit that Mahomes is better than Watson? Yes, because he is. No, it's year 2. 60.7% of people voted for no, it's year 2. Huh. Did that take age well? Did that take age well? Well, it did. Huh. Anyway. We don't all have a football mind like me. You know? Anyway. Now that I've kissed my own ass for a long period of time, shall we talk about last night's Houston Astros game? I think we should. Astros won 6-3. If you listened to yesterday's show, you'd know that I believe the Astros have to win 5 of 6 on this homestand. I am not accepting anything less than 5 of 6. And to their credit, last night, they got a dub. They certainly got some help early on from the Texas Rangers, but Jason Alexander gave you 4 2/3 innings of solid work, 5 strikeouts along the way. Stephen O'Kurt stepped in and actually had pretty good inning and a third of relief. And while it certainly was something that, wasn't clean, again, because he did allow a couple of hits and he did have a walk, Brian Abreu was able to close the door with a save. You had some nice moments in last night's game, whether it was Zach Cole stepping in for Yordan Alvarez with a 2-for-3 performance, including another home run, or Jesus Sanchez with a double and gunning a guy out at home plate at a critical juncture in, I believe, what was it? Was it the 7th inning? I think it was. We had some good moments from all sorts of Astros players last night, considering they got 6 runs on 6 hits. But they got some help from the Texas Rangers. They got some help from Texas early on in this game. And said help was very costly because, in case you are living under a rock, this is what happened to Yordan Alvarez's ankle last night. To quote Lando Calrissian from the Star Wars cinematic universe, which is what he says as he was grabbed by a tentacle on the leg from the pit of Carcoon, a.k.a. the Sarlacc. Look at that. Oh, God. Fuck. Gross. So that happened after the Rangers just totally fucked around on what should have been just a routine dead ball in the infield. Yordan is seemingly very uncoordinated, rolling around, going all the way to home plate, lands on home plate awkwardly like that. Well, I think he was trying to dodge a tag. And immediately everyone's looking at him and is wondering, oh, shit, is he going to be out for the rest of the year? I believe he was on crutches and in a boot after the game. Let's ask what the online doctors have to say about Yordan Alvarez. Here's Dr. Jeff Mueller, PT, DPT. Yordan, 2 concerns. Left ankle sprain, slides off plate and rolls. Inversion sprain, potential high grade. Knee bone bruising, concern on LCL sprain due to various stress, but hard to tell by the angle. Fibula could also be implicated. Oh, fuck. I mean, that doesn't sound good. Did seem like he rolled his ankle twice, so also not good. He slipped on home plate there. You could see it if you're watching along right now. I mean, shit on a stick. That's bad. That's bad what happened to Yordan Alvarez there. So, what happens next? How long is he going to be out? Like, we don't trust these fucking barber surgeons that the Astros have running the show. We don't trust any of them. You think they're going to be able to get him back and ready to go with about 2 weeks left in the season? Oof. I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that. After the game, this is Joe Espada's post-game press conference talking about Yordan, who I guess is scheduled to get an MRI today. We'll give you the latest on that once we're done hearing from Joe.
We're going to get an MRI on that tomorrow. It did not look good on the field. So we'll get more testing done tomorrow morning. Couple of things, obviously it's not what you want to see. I ran out of the dugout trying to hold him up so he won't put any, weight on it. Silence in the dugout, but I do have to say this, that once he went into the tunnel, you could hear the dugout, the guy saying, let's go, we got to pick him up. And that was very encouraging. How the players recognized that we're in the middle of the fight. One of the big boys just went down, but instead of going down and using that as another injury, they went, somebody needs to pick him up. And I thought that was a big moment for us to kind of get over that little moment there when one of our best players.
Oh, my God. Hey, credit to Joe Espada finding something positive to talk about instead of Yordan. Yeah, we're pretty sure that we're going to have to amputate Yordan at the foot, but hey, I really like how the clubhouse responded. And look, what's Joe Espada supposed to do there? I'm not dumping on him for reacting that way. I'm just disappointed that this has happened. And that Joe's probably thinking to himself, fuck, man, what did I do to get this bad luck? I mean, that Espada's been putting together all these lineups all season long. I do think he is legitimately a manager of the year. Possibility. I know a lot of people probably won't say that. But, I mean, what the Astros have done navigating through all these injuries between Espada and Dana Brown, I think they deserve a lot of credit. A lot of credit that I would say the baseball casuals aren't going to give them. But, here's more from the Astros manager.
Goes down.
This sounds more you guys have had this situation happen to you a lot of times this season. Do you think it's just now the resilience of your club?
100%.
It's kind of baked into you guys at this point?
100%. And then Zach Cole goes out there and then goes off. That's good managing there, not putting that young man in the lineup, huh? Jesus Christ. He's playing tomorrow. Trust me. No, in all seriousness, that's just our team. These guys, they just find a way, man. Incredible. It's a big win. That was a big win.
Look, all-time Baghdad Bob kind of move by Joe Espada, talking about Yordan's injury and saying, hey, take a look at what the clubhouse did, though, right? Yeah. And then, hey, but look what Zach Cole did tonight. Fuck, I definitely should have put him in a little bit earlier, huh? He's doing it with a twinkle in his eye and a smile on his face, and inwardly he's got to be screaming, fuck, how is Yordan hurt again? God damn it, fuck! Probably. Just a thought. So there you go, guys. That's what's going on with the Astros. Some comments here on the YouTube and on the Twitch. Juicy Messiah believes Yordan's done. Acts 2:38 says Yordan will be okay. I think Acts 2:38 sometimes is a Baghdad Bob as well. Astros will beat the Mariners again, and Yordan will be back in the second round. That is quite the prediction. Fletcher Ortiz suggests give him some juice. Is that a pill? Huh. Just a little juice? That could be nice. DeRhino says Yordan is fragile. He's very uncoordinated, it seems, when he runs, because he does seem to get hurt running a lot. Acts 2:38 says give him some Mexican grass. Is that the marijuana? I wouldn't know. It's illegal here. Or some guy's trying to make it illegal here, even though no one actually wants it illegal here. Great to see that Texas has a bunch of stupid bullshit, draconian, Bible-thumping laws that make absolutely no sense considering that this state is supposed to be, you know, relatively libertarian, but it's fine. Still the King says calcium. That could work. I do take calcium pills. A lot of calcium pills. Mother effing Cornbread says Joe Espada taking the Lord's name in vain. Smells like a loss today. Lone Ranger says he needs some milk. Mother effing Cornbread says he didn't eat steroid chicken as a child. Magnum 5317 asks, do you think the stop sign came too late for Yordan? No, I think it's smart that he went all the way around. I just think he's an uncoordinated runner, and he slipped on home plate. You know, you land on home plate with those spikes, and yeah, you might slide forward a little bit because there's no give there. And then he rolled his ankle while doing it. Common Sense 200 says, on one good note, the Mariners play the Dodgers for the final 3 games of the season. No, I don't look at it as a good thing. Look at where the Dodgers are in the National League. The Dodgers are really far behind both the Phillies and the Brewers as far as getting one of the top 2 seeds in the National League. So, sure, I think the Dodgers want to win the National League West, but is it really that much of an edge if you were potentially playing someone like, I don't know, San Diego in the first round of the playoffs? Is it really that much of an edge to be the home team when you're potentially playing somebody like that's an hour south of you? I mean, you know, I suppose it could, but I'm looking at it from do you care about home field advantage, or do you care about having your guys rested for the 3-game series? The Dodgers will be in the playoffs, I imagine, by then, and I don't think that they're going to need to play those last 3 games of the year. Just taking a look at the schedule ahead. I would imagine they will rest some guys there. So I'm not relying on the Dodgers to help the Astros out at the end of the year. The Astros have to rely on themselves. They got to win at least 5 on this homestand. At the very least, they did open up this homestand with 1 win. What else do we have here on the Gallant Says podcast? Every single Tuesday on the old radio show at 12:30, I used to crack open a college football 6-pack. So let's get into it. Then number 16, Texas A&M beat number 8 Notre Dame 41-40. I watched this game at Kirby Ice House in the Heights. It was a hell of a game. Back and forth. The very end, I know a lot of Golden Domers are pissed off about Texas A&M getting away with a very blatant hold. If you didn't see that, let's take a watch. Right here, see this guy? I mean, he gets tackled right before Marshall Reed throws the game-winning touchdown. So, I mean, yeah, that's a hold. Should have been called. Like, he tackled him. But there is a part of me, and I would show this to the Golden Domers out there who are bitching and moaning about that one, because they're at home. They're the favorites. A little bit before, it looked like Texas A&M had tied up the game with a kick return touchdown. But a flag was thrown for a hold. And I remember watching it back and not thinking it was a hold. This is the replay from NBC. the hold is supposedly right there. I mean, he kind of grabs his arm, but did that really affect that guy's path to the ball carrier? Like, one more time. So, I think you can make... Now, Notre Dame would have had more time to get down the field, obviously. But I don't really think that's as much of a hold as what happened on A&M's game-winning touchdown. But that's a hold, right? Just a thought. My guy Sean Pendergast was going through it. He's a Golden Domer, and you might know Sean from 610. I used to do the Texans post-game show with him. I consider Sean a friend, one of the guys who reached out to me after I got. He had some very, very seemingly angry posts from on Saturday, specifically this one. When you go a decade without a relevant win, it's hard to act like you've been there before. Congrats, Aggies. He's going through it. Going through it. I like the back and forth that he had with David Nuno right there underneath. Listen, the Aggies should celebrate what happened on Saturday. Don't let somebody diminish it for you, even if they're going through a rough time. Anyway, Ted Cruz was at the game. He was wearing maroon. Someone has to put together the actual record for Ted Cruz when he shows up for a game and he is sporting the colors of a Texas team. This is one that you stack in the win column, you know? Anyway, college football six-pack continues. That's number one, talking about Texas A&M's win over Notre Dame. Number 6, Georgia, held off Tennessee in overtime, 44-41. Tennessee was up 21-7 early. They looked great. I had watched Tennessee play my alma mater, Syracuse, in week 1. Syracuse is, not SEC level. I'll admit that. But I thought that Tennessee was really impressive in that game, specifically their quarterback, Joey Aguilar. So to see them up 21-7 early, I was like, okay, damn. I know it's at home, but holy shit. This is still Georgia, right? It was 38-30 late in the game when Gunnar Stockton threw an incredible touchdown pass on 4th and 6 with a little under 3 minutes to go to tie things up at 38. Tennessee had a chance to win this thing in regulation. They would lose it in overtime. When Tennessee's kicker missed a 43-yarder. I don't know why Tennessee set things up from the left hash for said kicker, but they did. I don't think it did him any favors. I remember seeing him line up for the field goal, and I think a lot of college football fans felt the same way. Oh, this kid's going to miss it. This was his face afterwards. Oh, boy. Oh, boy, indeed. And after the fact, I took a look at some pictures of him with his helmet off. Does this guy not look a lot like Morty from Rick and Morty? I'm going to give you a couple of pictures here, like an adult version of Morty from Rick and Morty. For those who have never seen Rick and Morty, it's loading. This is Morty. Right here. That's what Morty looks like. Not the biggest photo, but that's what Morty looks like. Here is what Tennessee's kicker, Max Gilbert, looks like. This poor fucker. One more picture. A third picture. Ah, geez, Tennessee fans. Oh, wait, that's not a very good Morty, is it? Ooh, I don't know. Ooh, I don't know, Rick. Ooh, I don't know, Tennessee. Ooh, geez. Ah, geez, Rick. Yeah, I can't do a very good Morty impersonation, but I tried right there. He looks like Morty. I don't know what you want from me, okay? Woof. That was a rough moment for that kid. I feel for him. That's got to suck to be a college student You look like that, and you know what? If you hit that kick, like time of your life, but you miss that kick, and everyone fucking hates you. And Tennessee is one of those fan bases, just an unbelievably entitled bunch of assholes they are. They saw Phil Fulmer in the crowd for this game, and they're like, fuck that guy. Why is he on our campus? I grew up a Florida Gator fan, even though I grew up in the Massachusetts area. Everyone in Massachusetts, you like basically pick a college football team that's more relevant than the local college football teams, of which there are none. Like no, Boston College would have a frisky win every 3 years or so. But I grew up rooting for Florida. Georgia's supposed to be Florida's arch rival. I've always had a little bit of affinity for Georgia because my godfather went to Georgia, and I was texting with him over the course of the Georgia-Tennessee game, and I saw a couple of Georgia fans after the Georgia-Tennessee game went down, and I was wearing a Florida Gators t-shirt, and I gave them a high five. Like, I gave them a high five. I was like, fuck Tennessee, and they were like, fuck Tennessee. So I guess Florida and Georgia probably look at Tennessee the same way that Texas and Oklahoma look at Texas A&M, even though Texas probably hates Texas A&M more than they hate Oklahoma, but they would never actually admit it. Speaking of Florida, God damn it, that was fucking awful. They lost to LSU 20-10. I think DJ Lagway threw 5 interceptions. It's going to be a long year for my Gators. After the game, this is what everyone's talking about. Brian Kelly, head coach of LSU now, not at Notre Dame anymore, had this to say when asked a pointed question about some of the sluggishness on offense for a team quarterbacked by Garrett Nussmeier, who some believe is one of the best quarterbacks in the country.
Brian in the back, I know you love these immediate post-game sessions, but what are you seeing with your offense?
Stop. Really? Is that the first question? We won the game 20-10. Try another question. What do you want me to tell you? I just laid it out for you. We played the game to win the game. We played the game to win the game.
All right. How about third down then? What is going on with third down?
It's one game. Last game, we were great on third down. You're looking at this from the wrong perspective. LSU won the football game. Won the game. I don't know what you want from me. What do you want? You want us to win 70-0 against Florida to keep you happy?
No, I think.
Pause for a moment. If that question gets asked a little bit into the press conference, I don't know that Brian Kelly reacts as defensively as he did there, but it's the first question that got asked. The first question was a fair one. The second question, the guy who he was in the back and forth with started to get combative. And then at this point, shit really hits the fan.
People want to know why you can't run the ball, quite honestly.
We can run the ball. Did you see the last play of the game? That's all you need. You just need one. There's a ridiculous questions. And I'm getting tired of it. That football team just worked their tail off to get an SEC win, and you want to know what's wrong. You know what? You're spoiled. You're spoiled. This team is 17-1 at night. 17-1. Give them some respect. How about that? Give them some respect instead of micro-analyzing every little thing. This is ridiculous. For a group of seasoned reporters, that kind of question is so out of line.
The first question wasn't out of line. I think you could make a case as things wore on that maybe it was out of line. I mean, think about this. Like, the last question was, like, people want to know why you can't run the ball. Well, you could have just asked what's going on with the ground game. Because you want to know. That's why you're asking the question. So I'm sounding a little defensive of Brian Kelly here. Brian Kelly, all-time asshole. RIP to that poor student who was in the tower at Notre Dame that fell over. They were practicing in like 50-degree winds. That should not have happened. Whether it's the fake accents, his ties to Boston politics from back in the day, among many other things. Like, Brian Kelly, impossible to like. But I don't think that this response from him was as out of line as a lot of people made it out to be. But clearly someone at LSU told him, hey, man, you can't do that, because he opened up his press conference yesterday with an actual apology, and it seems like he actually had like typed apology in front of him here to make a statement.
I get to the game in Southeast Louisiana. I want to go back to the press conference after the game. I've texted with Mike and offered my apology to him for the way I handled the questioning. I think it's important to understand that my standards relative to how we work with the media on a day-to-day basis need to be higher. And
he's looking at notes as he says it.
And I take responsibility for that, and I'll be better in the future. And understanding also that the way I'm thinking after a game, and we've mentioned this a couple of times in here, the emotions of the game right after it. I haven't watched any film. It's difficult to make those assessments of specifics.
Now he's making excuses while apologizing, which is kind of taking a little bit of the gravitas out of said apology.
And I'm going to defend my team. I'm going to defend my players first and foremost. But having said that, I publicly apologize to Mike, and he's an outstanding reporter. He works hard, and we'll do better moving forward. So I just wanted to address that in the outset.
Definitely had a written statement, and I'm sure some intern at LSU had prepared that for him. College football six-pack continues. Shout out to Georgia Tech, former A&M quarterback Haynes King, who's a baller, as Tech took down Clemson. Fuck Clemson. 24-21 with a walk-off field goal. I hate Clemson because I think that Dabo Swinney uses the Bible to get closer to parents of college football players that he thinks are talented. I do not think he is a man of the word in the way that he portrays himself to be. So I just take a little bit of issue with that because Clemson, from what I understand, is not a Baptist school, and yet they do seem to have a religious dynamic. It makes me uncomfortable. I understand, for some of the religious people out there, you might like it, but I just think it's hollow. He reminds me of the Righteous Gemstones family. And I also don't like Clemson because one time while watching a Syracuse football game at Circa in Las Vegas, Syracuse was almost about to beat a ranked Clemson team, and this one guy to my right said, "Oh, it's a basketball school." Fuck you! Anyway, more from this game. Aiden Burr did what the poor Tennessee kicker could not do. Can you believe Georgia Tech won a game winner where they sent the field goal team on the field without a timeout? They got set up, kicked the ball with, I think, 7 seconds left, 6-5. They were lined up at least with 7 seconds to go. He nailed a 55-yard field goal at the gun, and he had, no time to really think about it, to get ready for it. It was a hell of a kick by him. Shout out to Tech. That's one of the nerdy schools. I like it when the nerdy schools get a win over a primetime program. I'll also say this about the ACC as a whole. Hey, the ACC is doing something really cool. Have you noticed what they are doing as far as their game broadcasts? The ACC is taking you underneath the hood for instant replay. I've never seen that before. And I mean underneath the hood. You can hear the entire conversation being had between the referees and the people who are watching the video of it, who are guiding them. It's awesome. Every single version of football needs this. I know they won't give it to us because they want to use this as a time for a commercial break. But no, I need more of that. I really do. Upset of the week. Vanderbilt smoked number 7 South Carolina 31-7. Shane Beamer, head coach of South Carolina, with Virginia Tech firing their coach a couple of days ago. I bet Shane Beamer, son of Frank Beamer, is probably thinking about that opening, especially if you're getting smoked by Vandy, the other nerd school. 31-7. What a kicking of ass. Diego Pavia. South Carolina's got to be pissed that they didn't make the college football playoff last year. Number 5, Miami destroyed number 18, South Florida, 49-12. I guess I don't need a USF shirt. I was going to get one. Miami plays Florida next, my Gators. And our beloved Cougs are undefeated, 3-0. They manhandled Colorado. I did not get to watch the game. I did think the Cougs would win, Cougs got a lot of talent. Colorado's got a long way to go to get back to where they were. But that was a hell of a win. Ian Lindblom asks, please, some U of H Colorado takes. I'll say this. I'm going to try to watch the next Cougs game live. Had a date with the girlfriend on Friday and one of her friends and her friend's longtime boyfriend. And we had a lot of Japanese whiskey, and it was awesome. So I didn't really watch a lot of the game. It was a good time, though. Very good time. One last thing I wanted to get into, in case you missed it. Everything you might have missed over the weekend in the world of sports and beyond. So, Joe Burrow is injured. Cincinnati Bengals quarterback. He's been placed on the injured reserve as of 19 minutes ago. The NFL actually posted that. He is believed to have suffered a grade 3 turf toe injury that will require surgery and probably cause him to miss 3 months. That's a huge loss for the Bengals and certainly opens up a playoff spot for someone in the AFC. Hopefully the 0-2 Texans are that team because the Bengals are 2-0 to start things off. Jake Browning actually stepped in for Joe Burrow, and while definitely some turnovers, he was clutch at the end of that game, but it was a game that was definitely aided by a shaky call, pass interference on Travis Hunter. Commanders quarterback Jaden Daniels has a sprained knee after undergoing an MRI after the Commanders lost to the Packers. His status against the Raiders for this week's game is in doubt. That would suck if the Commanders have a mobile quarterback who once again deals with injuries. J.J. McCarthy might be hurt, some sort of ankle injury. Let me look up the specifics on this one. Vikings quarterback, who everyone loved what he did in the second half, Monday Night Football against the Bears, but everyone thought he sucked all of Sunday Night Football and that he can't throw to his left. I can't throw left, pop. Let's see. He was getting his ankle worked on this sideline in the third quarter of Falcons-Vikings. It is really funny to see how Vikings fans are handling McCarthy. I had my doubts going into the year about McCarthy because, hey, it's a rookie quarterback, and he wasn't the first quarterback taken. And it does seem like with Tim Tebow, there's a lot of talk about how he's a winner. He's like the guy. At Michigan, he's always won. Good run to the read option and all that stuff, but it's been a rough first couple of games for McCarthy, and I'm really curious as to how the Vikings view him. Do they think about trading for Kirk Cousins? That would be interesting, huh? Also, it was Deshaun Watson's birthday over the weekend. Happy birthday, Deshaun. There was a report over the weekend from Adam Schefter, in case you missed it, about how the Ravens plan to take Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round of the NFL draft. But before Baltimore could turn in the card, Jackson, because of Lamar Jackson's presence on the roster, Shedeur said he didn't want to be on a roster with Lamar where he'd be a backup. Bro, you're being drafted in the 5th round, man. That's a good situation to be in. Lamar Jackson misses games from time to time. Don't you want to be part of a functional operation? The ego on this kid, like I understand being all about yourself, and you have Dion, your dad, who's such a strong presence personality-wise, and thinking I can do things the same way he did, but Deion Sanders was so talented, they let him play baseball and football at the same time. You are not that. You're not even close to that. You've never been close to that. One of the best quarterbacks in college football over the last couple of seasons. You can make that argument. I think he should have gone earlier than the 5th round, but you're really going to say no to being drafted by the Ravens and you prefer to be on the Browns, and now you're somewhere behind Joe Flacco and Dylan Gabriel on the depth chart? I don't understand that line of thinking. More in case you missed it. Did anyone see James Hudson, the Giants left tackle against the Cowboys? 4 penalties in one drive. He also gave up a sack. He ended up getting benched on that drive. There were more dildos in the National Football League. You had a dildo in Jaguars, Bengals being thrown onto the field. A light green dildo. We talked about it on yesterday's show. In case you missed it, here it is. Let me scroll back a little bit. Just watch for a second. There's the dildo. Right there. Boom. Right by the camera guy. So that happened in one game on Sunday. It happened in two more. There was a dildo in Lions Bears. Here's the replay of that. Or at least the replay of someone finding said sexual device just in the Lions end zone. And you also had in Patriots Dolphins a lime green dildo thrown on the field. It's incredible. You can barely see it in the background right now, but we're going to slow-mo it for you. See it right there? Boom. Look at that. Look at that fake schlong. Paul, you like that kind of thing. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. Maybe fuck yourself. What else do we have here? In case you missed it, everyone was mad last night at Tom Brady, who was wearing a headset in the Raiders booth during Monday Night Football. Here's just an image of that. God, he looks so handsome. So handsome there. Raiders minority owner Tom Brady was seen in the team's coaching booth wearing a headset for the first time during the first quarter of Monday night's 20-9 loss to the Los Angeles Chargers. Brady's also an NFL broadcaster for Fox. Limitations were put on Brady as a broadcaster because of his agreement to become a partial owner of the Raiders, a deal approved by league owners in October. As a broadcaster, he gets access to other teams' players and coaches that other owners do not have. This has raised concerns about a conflict of interest. Shut the fuck up! Tom Brady can do whatever he wants. We are better for his presence on this planet. He is the greatest broadcaster we've ever heard. And if you think otherwise, it is because your mind cannot possibly comprehend how awesome his voice is. It's like, you know, Moses sees a burning bush. You're hearing a burning bush every time that fucker talks about football. My Tom is an awesome Tom. He's better than the average Tom. Your Tom is probably a schlub and drinking a 45 of Colt right now. I don't know why the song ended like that, but, you know, we tried. We tried. We tried and we tried and we tried. A lot of singing on this episode of the Gallant Says podcast. What else happened over the weekend? In case you missed it, anyone see baseball reporter Ken Rosenthal absolutely bundling a photographer for the Milwaukee Brewers? Here he is. Ken Rosenthal. Small man. I don't know how tall this Brewers player is. Brewers player number 24 gets a shower. Rosenthal backs up, knocks over the Brewers photographer. Look at that face. Look at that face. He seems mad. How dare you touch me? I'm a baseball writer. He walks away. I don't know what... Everyone's doing Zapruder analysis of this now. I don't know what this is all about. He shakes his head. He seems very upset about it. Let me go back a little bit further. Because he makes this little hand gesture here. Right here. Is that like, what the fuck? Is that like a, hey, man, I'm sorry? Walks away, shakes his head. Does the interview. Puts on a fake smile as he has avoided getting Gatorade on his suit and his tuxedo. I am curious. How tall Brewers number 24. Who is number 24 in the Brewers? It's William Contreras. How tall is William Contreras? Oh, wait. No, I don't think that's William Contreras. 24 on the Brewers. Is that William Contreras? It does not look like William Contreras. Were they all wearing number 24 for some reason last night? This does not look like William Contreras. Who is this guy? Does baseball not update team rosters? Huh. Is that William Contreras? I'm looking this up. I want to know how tall this guy is, and I don't think that's William Contreras. Christian Vela says, can we get Rosenthal at the mic for DeMeco's defense? Solid contact, attitude, commitment to the role. Big culture guy. Yeah, he could play linebacker. Might be a little small. Yeah, I do not know who number 24 in the Brewers is, but that does not seem to be William Contreras. Whatever the case, if that is William Contreras, who is 5'10", and that's the height discrepancy. Yikes, Yikes. Anyway, Ken Rosenthal actually apologized for this on Foul Territory. Here is the diminutive baseball writer apologizing here. I'm sure this will get us copyright struck, but here he is with a weird apology.
I want to talk about what happened Saturday night when I accidentally bowled over Scott Bollis.
He did accidentally do it.
Bollis, the Brewers team photographer, while I was getting out of the way of the Brewers dumping water on Andrew Monasterio. Now, the ever-observant A.J. Przinsky joked afterward that I looked like Muhammad Ali standing over Sonny Liston. Now, A.J., of course, is more experienced in these kinds of interactions than I am. And I must admit, though, when I looked at the video, when I saw this, I was surprised at how upset I appeared. I was more confused than anything. Now, I had to continue the interview. We were live, folks, on national television. Couldn't stop. And
that's overrated. This is why the old school people are never going to adapt. That's overrated. You know what's going to get you a shit ton of brownie points and make everyone like you? That's all that matters today is your social credit score that happens from what you do on social media. You know what would have helped him right there? Is if he got up, went over to the photographer for a second, asked if he was okay. You could still do the interview seconds later. You could still do the interview. Oh, I got an interview right now. It's fucking baseball, Ken. Calm down. Jesus. All right, I'm already done hearing Ken Rosenthal. Let's move on. In case you missed it, what else did we miss? Robert Redford passed away at the age of 69. Robert Redford, everybody. I love Robert Redford. Someone, Alex Poulain says, Andrew, is that my cousin? What's up, Alex? Andrew Monasterio. He's 5'11". How about that? Okay. So that guy's towering over him. He's a small man. Nothing wrong with our short kings out there. Robert Redford passed away at the age of 89. Let's see. What movies was he in, and how many of them have I seen? Robert Redford movies. I just want the list. Let's see. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I have seen parts of it. I think there's a song in there where aren't they like riding a bicycle? Something tells me I'm into something good. Or was that the Naked Gun making fun of them? Jeremiah Johnson, a 1972 movie, is one of my stepdad's favorite movies. I love that movie. Jeremiah Johnson, if you've never actually seen the movie, that's the movie that you've definitely seen the meme of where Robert Redford is looking off to somebody. They zoom in on his face and he nods with like a wink. He's like, I have not seen the Great Gatsby movie of 1974. I saw the newer one. I was very excited about it because Leonardo DiCaprio was in it. I thought it was awful. I thought it was a CGI DUI. All the President's Men. Everyone loves that movie about Deep Throat. The Natural's a little bit overrated as a sports movie. He plays Roy Hobbs in that movie. The score in that movie is great. I think it's one of those sports movies that aged poorly because every single sports movie has been done over and over again. But I, for the life of me, was so distracted by what happens at the very beginning where he just gets shot by some random woman who, like, then jumps out a window. Like, I couldn't get past that. Like, I wanted to know the backstory about that. More movies from Robert Redford, who passed away. I'll be honest, from 1984 through 2001, not a lot of great movies. I love The Last Castle. If you've never seen The Last Castle, that movie also features James Gandolfini. It's about a general who's, I think, at a military prison. It's pretty good. He's been in a lot of spy movies. He was in Captain America, The Winter Soldier, a couple other movies as well. Jeremiah Johnson, if you've never seen it, I highly recommend that. All the President's Men is a classic as well, where he plays one of the two reporters who stumble on the, that are part of the Watergate investigation. And there's other movies I'm sure I have to see, but rest in peace. I was a big Robert Redford fan. The Emmys were Saturday night. Who won the Emmys? Let's just roll through all of it in case you missed it. Seems like The Pit cleaned up. It's an HBO show. Isn't it like a spin-off of ER? It's got Noah Weil in it. So The Pit got Outstanding Drama Series. Noah Weil got Lead Actor in a Drama Series. The Studio got Outstanding Comedy Series. The Studio is great. It's on Apple TV. I just got rid of Apple TV. Tremel Tillman and Britt Lauer got Best Supporting Actor in a Drama Series and Best Lead Actress in a Drama Series for Severance. Catherine Lanasa from The Pit got Best Supporting Actress in a Drama Series. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert got Outstanding Talk Series. Did they give it to him because he is being canceled next year? Jean Smart got Best Lead Actress in a Comedy Series for Hacks. We'll get back to Hacks in a moment. Kristen Milioti won Lead Actress in a limited or anthology series for The Penguin. She's great in that movie, in that show, and I love The Penguin show. I thought it was really good. Seth Rogen won for Lead Actor in a Comedy Series in The Studio, and he also won for Writer in a Comedy Series for The Promotion. Have not seen The Promotion, have not seen Adolescence, have not seen Hello, Goodbye. I've seen the occasional Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. Not seeing The Owner. Seth Rogen won a lot directing for a comedy series, too. A lot of Adolescence. And then you got Hannah Einbinder, who won Best Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series. And she made headlines at the Emmys for other reasons. And you'll be able to see it in just a moment if you're watching along here on YouTube at Paul Gallant, on Twitch at Gallant Says, Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports, Instagram at Sports Gallant on X. Here we go. A celebrity offering a very much wanted political opinion.
I just want to say, finally, go Birds, and free Palestine. Thank you.
So she said, fuck ICE, ICE, and also said free Palestine. And we're going to have to show you something that's kind of funny that came as, afterwards. I do think we've gotten to a point where maybe let up a little bit. Maybe let up a little bit. Maybe also Israel can handle it. Maybe we don't need to help them. Maybe. I don't really want to know. The QUDS News Network posted about Einbinder supporting Palestine. But this is the image that they showed of her. Because they don't like it when you're showing a little bit too much skin if you're Hamas. So kind of ironic. I wonder how she feels having seen this. But yeah, they censored her entire upper half because she was wearing a dress without straps and without sleeves. You know? So, yeah, man. Hamas sucks, but the poor people of Palestine, I feel bad for them. In case you missed it, country singer Zach Bryan tried to hop a fence to confront something called Gavin Adcock. I don't know shit about this, so I'm going to ask, hey, why do Zach Bryan and Gavin Adcock have beef? 'Cause I don't know. I don't know, man. I can show you at the very least some videos where Zach Bryan got so mad he tried to hop a barbed wire fence to confront Gavin Adcock. This is pretty crazy. In case you missed it, you know, we're giving you all the things happening in the culture. Okay? Here's one angle of it. That's Zach Bryan right there behind the fence. Something about I'll fucking kill you. I don't know what he's mad about. Here he is trying to climb the barbed wire fence, but the barbed wire's leaning over in a way where it's going to be tough for him to get over. He doesn't seem to be a very tall person. Security's coming over. Like, we have to do something here? A lot of security standing by. Bro, it's barbed wire. It's not worth it. What are you doing here? What else? More angles of this. That's video one. How about this? Oh, he actually did get to the top of the fence, it seems. Zach Bryan stands on business with Gavin Adcock. Let's see. We got another angle, I think, of this too. Here is another. This is, I guess, another angle of Zach Bryan jumping over. I couldn't tell you any of their. By the way, let it be known. Let it be known. Let it be known. Let it be known. My girlfriend, who may or may not be watching, I did not look at what's in front of this fight. I could not see it. I would never look at it. I don't see nothing. I don't see nothing. Please zoom in further. I'm trying to be please zoom in further. I'm trying to be respectful. Is this person a thought? Is this an insta thought? Is she trying to go viral? Please get out of the camera. Get out of the way of the camera. Thank you. Fuck. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. I'm trying to be respectful. That is one way to go viral, though. You know, like, I think some ring girl went viral for the Canelo fight over the weekend. I guess Canelo lost. I didn't watch it. But yeah, that girl, I think, was trying to go viral there. You know? I didn't see nothing. I didn't see nothing. What I do know is if I did see something that my girlfriend's ass is about her, but I didn't see nothing. I didn't see nothing. One last thing in case you missed it. And we'll figure out, wait, hang on a second. What's the feud between Zach Bryan and Gavin Adcock began early July of this year and has escalated from online jabs to a near physical confrontation. July 2025. A 14-year-old fan posted on Instagram about waiting hours at one of Bryan's concerts for an autograph only to be disappointed when he didn't appear for the meet and greet. Bryan replied directly to her comment saying fans aren't entitled to personal access just because they buy tickets and that he performs long shows as his contribution. That's kind of a dickish way to do it. Adcock, another rising Oklahoma country artist, jumped in to criticize him on social media, accusing him of being thin-skinned and out of touch with fans who support his career. Bryan fired back, calling Adcock a clout chaser for inserting himself into the situation. The back and forth continued sporadically on social media, with Adcock doubling down by mocking Bryan's fan interactions and stage presence. Adcock, known for his brash, quote, outlaw persona. God, country music is so gay today. I'm sorry. It is. You have an outlaw persona? This isn't like 90s rap. I've got an outlaw persona. I'm allowed to say that because some people think I am, okay? Adcock, known for his brash outlaw persona. I'm reading this from Grok, okay? Has a history of similar beefs with Charlie Crockett. I don't know who that is. Took a jab at Cowboy Carter. Brian largely stayed silent but alluded to the drama in interviews, framing Adcock as irrelevant. Tensions boiled over at the Born and Raised Festival in Pryor, Oklahoma. Both artists performed. Backstage, Brian reportedly scaled a barbed wire-topped fence to reach Adcock's area, yelling challenges like, "Come on, let's do this." Security and crew intervened before punches were thrown. Videos of the incident quickly went viral. Adcock later posted on social media to downplay it as Brian losing his cool while claiming he was unfazed. Adcock followed up by mocking Brian during his set, saying something along the lines of, quote, "If you want to fight, bring it. I'm from the country too." Huh. Well, country music, everybody. Country music, it's so cool. I guess this is what it's become. Hey, yeah, you would think there would be country beefs. Has there ever been country beef? I'm gonna ask Grok. Has there ever been country beef that got more physical than that lame ass shit? I asked that to Grok. Let's see. Let's see. Come on, Grok. Help us out here, bro. We're trying to answer the questions that I do not have the answer to. Archer Thomas Pick says, the next Tupac and Biggie. I mean, I think they wish, right? I don't know, though. Zach Bryan seems like an asshole, just based off of everything that I've seen from him online. He looked like an asshole right there. Oh, Chris Christopherson and Toby Keith. That's one. Okay. Lone Ranger 614 says John Denver and the guy who set that award on fire. Okay. So there's that as well. Huh. Grok. Oh, hell yeah. Country's got a long history of beefs turning into actual scraps, way beyond some fence-hopping threats. Physical altercations between artists aren't everyday stuff, but when egos, booze, and barstools mix, shit gets real. Here are a few standout examples that went full-on fists or close to it. George Jones against Farron Young in the 60s and 70s. They were notorious for throwing down backstage whenever they crossed paths, fueled by jealousy over hits and a hard living. Merle Haggard straight up said he had to pull them apart full time during brawls. One time Jones got beat so bad he needed stitches. It was like clockwork. They'd spot each other and boom, magnets to mayhem. John Rich versus Jared Ashley. Big and Rich. Oh, yeah, I know one song with them. All right, come on. A lot of newer country music sucks. Big and Rich is John Rich allegedly cold-cocked. Pause. Cold-cocked aspiring singer Jared Ashley right in the face after some trash talk over a girl. Ashley pressed assault charges leading to Rich's arrest in a messy lawsuit war with voicemails, defamation claims, and even break-in accusations. Charges got dropped. John Moreland against Kyle Nix, indie country troubadours, posted a post-show argument at Tulsa into a full brawl. Nix yanked Moreland off his stool, started kicking him in the head. Jesus. Moreland fired back with punches. Well, Nix, if they're not taking the guy out with kicks to the head, terrible job. No cops, no major injuries, just ripped shirts, regrets, and the internet turning it into memes. Moreland later called it a dumb personal beef, not band drama. So there you go. Country! Steve Earle and Hayes Carls, his mother effing cornbread. Behind the Veil says Zach Brown and Luke Bryan. Yeah, that's what we were talking about, I guess, right? Or is Luke Bryan fighting somebody else too? Sean Martinez says Toby Keith versus Osama bin Laden. That's true. We'll put a boot in your ass. It's the American way. Hey, I sing and a hop a little less. And something that we're singing, I was taking your fist. And all you real way. They got him. And you ain't mother. Back to your courtesy, all in wild and bloom. There you go. One last comment. Coog Blaze says Dolly Parton and Gravity. That's true. That's 100% true. Anyway, guys, that's going to wrap up today's edition of the Gallant Says podcast. We've been through it all, huh? We talked college football. We talked about everything else that went down over the weekend, and we talked about some comments that DeMeco Ryans made that for the first time seemed to actually point at CJ Stroud, some throws that he missed. I am curious as to what what Ryans will say whenever his press conference takes place after the game. If you haven't already, please like this video if you're watching on YouTube and subscribe at Paul Gallant or on Twitch at Gallant Says. Give me a sub. I'm also on X and Twitter, this live show at Gallant Says Pod. On Instagram at Sports Gallant, on Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports. You can join me live weekdays at noon. If you ever have a question, send me an email, gallantsays@gmail.com. So the show takes place at noon weekdays, Central Time. A longer episode today. We might try to cut it a little bit next time around. It'll also happen occasionally after major Houston sporting events. Clips of the show are available on TikTok at Gallant Says. The show's available after the fact wherever you get your podcasts. If you haven't already, subscribe, rate, and review me on Apple and Spotify. We post small clips of the podcast. We want everyone to watch along. If you roast my ass in the reviews, I will read it. Until tomorrow at noon, so long, farewell, and have yourselves a wonderful Tuesday. Peace!